I thought it was amazing.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Lynn Samita, and I'm here with Paul Johnson, and this is our conversation about Christmas and the challenge and the opportunity that this season offers people.
And it is a challenge for lots of people, and it's a great opportunity, but it is a challenge.
Yes, I was reflecting after we talked about it's perhaps the most dramatic example of a group of people who are very excited about Christmas. They are more open-hearted, they're more engaged, and there's more goodwill flowing. And yet for others, it's probably the most painful, difficult time. And we've got this huge kind of contrast or juxtaposition of those two very strong sentiments.
Yeah, I think that's true. And I think that another factor that's involved in that is not only open-heartedness and so on, but is also circumstance and environment.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes we are in circumstances that are not absolutely perfect, which contributes to the sense of humbug.
Yes, exactly. So if I don't have money to spend on Christmas, and it's the ultimate time to be spending, it's a bit difficult.
Yeah.
And like you were sharing with me, you know, if you have a picture of the people you want to be spending time with, and that's not an option, that's not possible, we've got all these things that are not matching. You know, and I was really touched when you said, you know, how your early pictures.
Yeah, when I think about Christmas, the pictures that instantly come to mind are my experience of Christmas as a child, you know, from my childhood. And whether it's global warming or whatever it is, I remember snow on the ground. And I remember, you know, being at home and helping to decorate the outside of the house. We'd go out and we'd get all these cedar boughs, and my dad and I would nail them up around all the windows and string lights through them. And you know, we didn't have, you know, growing up, there wasn't a lot of money around, but there were certain things that we did every year, and that was one of them. You know, one of my fondest memories about Christmas was the year I was probably 12 or 13 years old, and I hooked up a speaker outside the front door, connected to a turntable inside the front door, and we'd play Christmas carols for the whole neighborhood all night long.
I bet that went over wonderfully.
Well, you know what? There was certainly the possibility for people to complain, but they never did. You know, the comments that we got were from people walking by, and how much they appreciated that. And, you know, so I have, you know, these warm images of what Christmas was, and it's just not like that anymore. But then I'm not 12 years old anymore either.
No. And yet those powerful pictures are as alive and real and three-dimensional, taste, smell, everything in our minds. You know, one of the things we work with people is how do you then, if you like, update those pictures or get new ones, if the pictures I have can no longer be matched.
Exactly.
What do we do with that when that's what comes to mind, say, when you think of Christmas?
Exactly.
You know, and so, you know, I think the opportunity part I was talking about is exactly that. If we can't match that wonderful Christmas picture like you had with your family.
The Hallmark Christmas, I call it.
Okay, and you can't match that. Some people just want to cancel Christmas altogether. Like, I can't get a match, I don't get the feeling.
Pull the covers up over one's head and hibernate until New Year's.
Exactly. So that's one strategy. And just wish the season was over, get through it, etc. But really another one is to step, I guess, into the pain, if you like, or the discomfort of things not matching and figuring out what would speak to you today. What are the key elements that, in a way, you yearn for? Like, one of the unusual things maybe about me is I love playing games. I have games locked into Christmas because we would play games in our jammies and snack and nibble and so on. The playfulness and the acceptable competition and the rivalry, all of that goes into some of my memories.
Sure.
Well, I actually can recreate that. I can put out the word that I want to play some card games or whatever with people, gather people around, and have that sense of, I guess, camaraderie.
Yeah. Well,
Because-
a relationship. It's really a relational piece, isn't it? It's a love and belonging piece in choice theory terms.
Yes.
Yeah.
But combined with fun.
Sure.
I mean, my brothers and sisters were around all year. I wasn't as warm and fuzzy all the time,
No,
all year.
that's true.
But Christmas was a time when,
Yeah.
for example, we specifically all stepped in to having fun together.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. What suggestion, one or two suggestions, what suggestion would you have then for people who experience a humbug Christmas? This is a tough time for them.
Yeah. Well, I think as we talked about it, you know, first of all, you have to get through the resistance of, I don't like it, go away, I have no intentions of changing this is where I want to be.
Yeah.
And if you're in that category, nobody has a right to say you shouldn't be.
Sure.
But I think there's some people that are a little more, I wish I could have a great Christmas. There's a little longing still inside, but no idea how to get to a better Christmas.
Right.
So I like to use the grid, you know, of the needs that Dr. Glasser talked about. So he talked about love and belonging as a core need for us.
Yeah.
He talked about power or empowerment. In other words, the sense that I matter, I can make a difference, I can make my own decisions, I have significance. He said that's really important to us. We have a need for freedom and choice. And we have a need for fun, which is tied into how, you know, the play, but also the learning and the creativity and the joyfulness. I'd say to people, okay, what would you like the most of? If you had only one need that you could feel more.
Right.
Like I live in a household of people that are very creative. It might be, oh, I wish just I had the unscheduled time, I'm not at work, I could just do something creative.
Right.
It could be scrapbooking, it could be working with fabric, it could be getting out some music and just, you know, riffing and jamming and whatnot. Is that what would add to a feeling of joy and appreciation at Christmas? So look at what need might be the most important to a person.
And is one way of doing that really trying to figure out what you want to feel? Like, how do I want to feel at Christmas?
That's right. Absolutely. Exactly. But that's the piece people don't want to go towards, because there is pain that is associated with what I used to feel and don't have.
Okay.
So it's like, you know, my first love at 16, you want me to go back and remember how I felt, but I don't have him. It can be a bittersweet. But if you can kind of bear with that and just close your eyes and step, how do you want to feel?
Today.
Like I said that to you.
Yeah.
How do you want to feel this Christmas, given the change from a nuclear family that you were part of to being a single dad, and your girls are old enough to have their own lives.
Yeah, which they remind me of regularly.
Yes.
Yeah. I have a life dad.
Right. So they're not at home with you.
Nope.
They're not in their jammies. You're not hanging stockings.
Yeah.
So what is the feeling you want to feel over Christmas? And then the second, of course, is to be willing to then make a plan to get some of that. You know, plan now.
It's really about being intentional, isn't it? It's about being conscious of it.
Yes.
And being intentional.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you did share, which I'm going to share publicly, but you said you'll wait until December 23rd or the 24th and then have a brilliant idea about inviting people over.
Isn't that the way it's done?
Right. So it's not going to work.
No, that's true. That's very true.
And so start now. Think of, like, I know how much you love to cook. What little piece of cooking maybe? Because if cooking and smells and the feeling of sharing food and cooking for others, if that's a key element for you, what are 2 or 3 ways to make that happen? Little bits of pieces.
Yep.
And I think if people did one new thing a year, Start a little something, a little tradition, if you want to think, of your own. I started a tradition around brunch and started collecting brunch ideas, and I make a fabulous brunch, and that's my thing.
Yep.
And people know I make a great brunch. So pick something that you could start a little tradition around. Maybe you're going to decorate your little apartment or whatever it is. Make that a little celebration. You might have a little wine or a little mulled cider or whatever.
Whatever it is, yeah.
Yeah, get the feeling, which you're saying,
Yeah.
but do it as something that could be repeated potentially.
Right. And I think it's important to say that the danger is in wanting to create wholesale change all at once.
Right.
Because that rarely works very well, at least in my experience.
Okay.
And I guess I'm asking for your input. Isn't it maybe a better idea to try and not discounting what you're saying at all, but just in sorting it in my own mind, isn't it better to try and do one or two things to get me further towards where I want to be, as opposed to all or nothing?
Right. Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do a few, and little things often add up to where you want to get to faster than one big thing that doesn't work, and now you're totally defeated and disappointed.
Right.
So the other offering I would say is, when is the most challenging time? If you can bear to think about that, is it the Christmas morning? Is it Christmas Eve, when that's when you did the special whatever?
Right.
Is it Christmas Day dinner? And you have the turkey and the whatever picture. Where are the points that matter the most? And again, figure out what you want to feel, and then a little something that addresses that.
Right. And that's going to be different for every person. Not only the specific times, but but what is it that's going to create that feeling that you're trying to go for?
Paul, I had a woman who worked for me, and she invited me for Christmas Eve. And when I was on my own, it was a very sad Christmas for me. And so she said, but I need to warn you what our tradition is. And I thought, why would you need to warn me about a Christmas tradition? Like, I couldn't imagine one I wouldn't like. And she said, well, it is spaghetti and meatballs and movies. That's it. That's the Christmas feast.
Wow.
And
I've never considered, I got to say, I've never considered spaghetti and meatballs at Christmas time.
Me neither. So she wanted to make sure I liked spaghetti and meatballs.
Our friend Esther, however, might like that.
But it worked for their family.
Yeah.
And the kids had grown up. It was because she worked full time. She was exhausted. She'd done all the Christmas baking, and she just wasn't doing another big fancy meal.
Yeah.
There it was.
And so often it's not about the specific what as it is the anchor that is for the way that we feel when we encounter it.
Right.
The what, the turkey or the spaghetti in this case, in some ways is just a trigger, which triggers all these good memories.
That's right. Yeah. So the power of the idea that we do have pictures, it helps to figure out what yours are, because they're part of what creates pleasure and pain.
Yeah.
Either we're getting what we want and matching those wonderful memory and experiences, or we're not.
Right.
And then to know that you can really update them.
Yeah.
You can add new ones, create different ones.
Yeah. That's great. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you for
awesome.
encouraging this conversation,
Yeah.
because I think you were really in touch with, from your own experience, how tough Christmas can be.
It can be, yeah.
And I guess the other thing I'd say is lots of us need to kind of open up our sense of Christmas to, bring in folks who might not have a family nearby or this or that.
Yeah, because, I'm not alone in this kind of a circumstance where I'm kind of on my own. There are tons of people like that.
Yeah.
And I know that lots of people have family that they go and spend time with, but you know what? I've encountered lots and lots of people who also spend Christmas on their own.
Yeah.
And so, maybe the answer is to do an orphan's Christmas.
I have heard that idea before. I think it's a great one.
Yeah.
All right.
Great.
Thanks for this conversation.
Thanks, Lynn.
We hope you've enjoyed that, and it may be relevant for you, or it may be just something you tuck away and share with someone else. Or maybe just like me, it gets you thinking about who else would I like to reach out to at Christmas, and, just be a little more sensitive to how to include people at this time of year. Bye for now.